Then it is one type of internal audit. And second one is when management genuinely wants some improvement in overall functioning, etc., who wants to what you can say verify various aspects from the third person's angle as a third party what you can say examination. At that point of time they appoint the internal. So purpose of internal audit, why they are appointing internal audit, is most important, and whether really management is interested in knowing this one. This could be one important aspect as far as before carrying out the assignment we should have this due diligence done. Second aspect is about the client behavior, its ethos, functioning, etc. How honest it is, how it is legal, honor for legal framework, etc. That is what we as an auditor need to get, because then only we will be able to really, what you can say, suggest them something and they can implement that particular. There are two things. One thing is your work, your suggestion, and then having given the suggestions, subsequently the management has to implement those suggestions or take corrective steps. So from that angle, it is most important to understand the client intention of internal audit. If it is only for the sake of legal compliance, then I think it has got different aspects. While if at all we are taking, say, you can say he is genuinely interested, then management will be interested. And there are two aspects. One thing is that internal audit management will be interested, but operating management does not want you to carry out proper work. Even that is possible. If I want to hide you something or some different intentions are there at the operating level, then carrying out internal audit is a very skillful thing, because as I say, audit per se, whether it is statutory or internal audit, it's a skill for your, what you can say, it's basically your knowledge as well as your skill for managing the people. Because what happens, you go to the people, you take their hospitality, and finally you find out the faults in the system. That is what is the audit profession is. And if that is the audit profession, somebody will welcome you, somebody will not welcome you, somebody will forcefully welcome you. These are three categories possibly you will have. Apparently nobody will say that you are not welcome. Everybody will say, sir, you are welcome, we value everything. But ultimately what is the purpose is most important. And therefore this is a valid point, because getting particular reports, and therefore confirmation and cross confirmation is most important. That if you are talking to one person, verbal confirmations are fine, but documentary confirmations are required. And even if you take documentary confirmation, try to find out at this. Communication channels should be open at even top level. That is both the levels, in the sense operating level as well as management levels. You cannot merely carry out the audit at the operating level. You have to have dialogue with the management also. Because if you get any difficulty from the operating people, the management will be there. And if you find that management is having problem and operating level has got some grudges against that particular thing, even if you have got, that is also needs to be handled skillfully. So I think you have raised very right and valid point. First class. Carry on, please. I thought I will mention in between so that we can take the, what you can say, discussion at this.
No problem, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, as sir said, in recent assignment, I went to Gujarat. This plant head was asking me that you come to us and you ask too many things, and you just do all the things, and you pick out the points out of us only, and then tell us that do these things and do that things. I literally told him on his face that, sir, in every organization, auditor is appointed, and that auditor is villain always. So take in a literal way that we are not to harass you, but it's our duty to do these things and pick out some things and to improve on the organization, as the appointing authority wants us to do this. So to carry on the next slide, reporting. Basic elements of internal audit report are prescribed in the reporting standard as prescribed by ICI. I'm not going in detail, but I will tell you one thing, that elements of report are prescribed. Yes, it is right, but too many things are there which are even not prescribed. We should give it to them, because what happens is, it is basic elements of internal audit report. And right now I will be going to cover that part only, which I think we should report. So before reporting, we should communicate to management. Communication to the management is much more important, because sometimes we think that some problem is there and we try to report that, but after communicating with management, the ultimate result comes out is just a thrash, because we are thinking from one aspect, and they have already covered it from another aspect. It is just a change in perception. If we go to that side and understand their perception also, it will help more to report in what is going on and what it should be, in order to enable us in better way in reporting. So in next step, we go to limitation on scope. Many, we can say that there is limitation on scope. That we should first ask them that what we should perform and what we are expected to perform for them. Because sometimes what happens is, our target is something else, and we go to some else points, and that is actually covered by any other internal auditor. Usually organization has 3 to 4 internal auditors, as I have noted from my experience. And so, thus some aspects are covered in our report part, in our scope, and some aspects are covered in another internal auditor scope, and we can't override other scope and our scope at the same time. So in another way, I can say that whatever we are delivering, we should deliver that part only, what we are expected to deliver, because we are going to get fees of that portion only. Now, if you deliver something else or something extra that are not expected, that is okay. If it is adding value, and it is within your scope, then go ahead. But don't go into another scope. It will be beneficial in both ways. Time constraints also, as well as our fees also. So that's okay. So I'm going to next point. Restriction on usage. Yeah, actually restriction on usage and report circulation otherwise than the list of intended recipients. Uh, there are some intended recipients only to whom we should report. Actually, I would like to share my one of experience here. Is like, we went to that the internal audit department, which is situated inside the organization, and we asked them that we are conducting this scope first time. We are conducting this scope first time. So actually, it is covered in another internal auditor's report scope, and to gain the business knowledge, there is one point in the gaining business knowledge in planning of internal audit area standard, that we should get the business knowledge first, and after that, in that we should do preliminary assessment also, and then we can carry on further things. So there is one point that you should go through the prior internal audit reports. Prior internal audit reports. So we asked that please give us internal audit reports of another internal auditors. They told me that in intended list of recipients, you are not the part of them. It was a huge drawback for us, that we couldn't use that point in practicality. So it's okay, but it was just one of the experience I have shared here. But intended recipients, list of intended recipients should only be shared this report, because they know the purpose this report is getting generated. Reporting communication with those charged with governance. So I will go through this, like discussion draft, whether preliminary observations are reportable. In many circumstances, we have done like we have too many queries, like thousands of queries in preliminary assessment, and we go to the process owners and actually people performing that processes, and ask them that these many queries and observations we have. So they are like, we have already implemented this thing as a compensatory control against these observations. Oh, we are like, okay, sorry, we shouldn't report this. So primarily, we should draft our discussion draft report. We should discuss with them what are the points that we should keep, what are the points that we should remove. In that, uh, I think there was control effectiveness. I know that. I will share one another experience. We downloaded one report, and we did analysis. We point out these primary observations, our primary observations, and we noted one or two cases where that particular control was violated. We asked them, we will be reporting in the final report. What is your opinion? They are like, these are only two exceptions uh, in our whole period that were happening through this. So please don't report on it. If you report on it, report like a exception to the general standard operating procedures. That we come to know only after the discussion draft. My second point is exit meeting. Yeah, exit meeting. Actually, after discussion draft, we do final draft, uh, in which we report our suggestions, whatever we conclusions drawn out of such observations, and such things. In exit meeting, we discuss what actually happened and what is the final thing, and whether such recommendations are implementable. Actually, as an external person, internal auditor, I am not performing that processes. So each and every process, how it's happening and how it is going to happen, and what cost it will take to implement such recommendations, and what treasure it is protecting it. Ultimately, someone says that cost of lock should not exceed cost of treasure, protecting it. So in that way, we should give recommendations. We are recommending for better things only, but implementing such recommendation will, if suppose costing more than whatever it is going to protect, the management will not fund for that. So these recommendations will be wasted. So for these things, we should just first conduct exit meeting to discuss all these things, and thereafter we should draft final draft, and in which we report reportable observations, and we take the reportable observations and recommendation, and we take management opinion. Usually what happens is, in exit meeting, till the exit meeting, we are discussing all the things with these junior level executives and HODs, at formal draft, people who are actually controlling that department, HODs and such higher level of authorities uh, give their opinion on our reportable observation and recommendation. Final report appointing to address to appointing authority. Addressing to the appointing authority takes too much things into it, because they will ultimately ask the management, and we are not protecting the management, but we should support the management views, and we should carry management with us and also improvement to it, the processes. So addressing to appointing authority in final report is the actually fruit of our whole exercise, and that is the skill. Terms of internal audit engagement: deciding on scope. As I earlier told, scope is the area where we cover what all operations we are going to cover, what all units, what are plants, what are departments we are going to cover, what is our target in it. So that scope matters much more than all other things. Responsibility, auditor's responsibility and auditor's responsibility. In this, responsibility is actually written in terms of engagement, but many a times auditors don't perform their responsibility exactly how how they should be performing, because we ask too many things, we ask data, and that data extracted from the ERPs or SAP or say any ERP, we actually take it from that is information produced by entity, IPE. It is termed as IPE, information produced by entity, and this term is specified in guidance on internal control over financial reporting issued by the ICA. So that IP, they should produce us IP whenever we want, and how in the manner how we want, and in timing at the time we are wanting. They does always delays too many things. It happens, as earlier Abhay sir said, managing people is the crux of all audit engagement things, because people do not tend to go with us always. As a no one want to go with villain, and no one want to support them. Okay. Then authority, auditors authorities and auditors authorities. Usually no, there are no auditors authorities. First auditors authority, auditors authorities. Auditor should have access to all the data and to all the departments with all the levels of management, to ask and to inquire, to observe, or to anything that it requires auditors to perform its engagement. Confidentiality. Sorry, just a second. Confidentiality. Yeah. Working papers report. Working papers should be confidential. Report should be produced to only intended audience only, intended users. Limitations. Some points are repeating in the same thing. Reporting, form, frequency, and intended recipients. Compliance with standards. We should report that these engagements are performed in accordance with standards, and we should perform in accordance with standards. Types of engagement: assurance engagements, standard reporting requirements. These are engagement types, and these are reporting requirements. Subject matter reviews, predefined reporting requirements based on scope. Consulting and advisory engagement, predefined reporting requirements based on scope, and other assignments. Assurance engagements usually covers the type of engagements which are prescribed as a certification of this one, ICFR, certification of ICFR. It is covered under assurance engagement. We are giving assurance to the management that these controls over financial reporting are effective or partially effective. The extent of effectiveness we are certifying on it. Subject matter reviews, there are predefined criteria which we are required to evaluate in practicality by following procedures, inter-audit procedures, consulting and advisory engagement. That is also same, but the major difference is consulting and advisory engagement is specifically in which we are specifically engaged to consult management for the improvement. Please, you are requested to mute the mic. I don't know. Please.
Members, please request.
हाँ वो तो है मैडम, अभी क्या रोज का है ये?
One second. Yeah, yes, sorry, please continue. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. Assurance engagement covers risk control matrices. Risk control matrices are process prescriptions where processes are prescribed and their sub processes are also prescribed. Then this one controls implemented to on these processes and sub processes are also defined. Objectives of the controls are defined. How to evaluate the standard operating procedures are also defined, and how to evaluate such control objectives, whether these are effective or not, is also defined in control matrices. I will cover this in brief in next area. Certification of control environment, that is what ICFR. In assurance engagement in ICFR, we only certify controls implemented over financial reporting, nothing else. Because so accordingly, we are not required to evaluate operational controls. Okay, so non-assurance engagement, as I told earlier, methodologies of audit, risk control matrices. Okay, I will be brief on this. Procurement to payment. These are some operation cycles I have prescribed here. Procurement to payment. In this, we usually say it as P2P. It starts from purchase requisition. Purchase requisition, any of the department which requires any material, any service, raises purchase requisition. It is later on purchase order is generated by purchasing department. In between, before generating purchase order, before placing purchase order, we invite quotations from multiple vendors. That quotations are usually evaluated manually and ultimately selected vendor, and then we put a purchase order to such vendor. This is usual process, but in many organizations, to requirements which are day-to-day requirements, or say reorder requirements are there. In such cases, procurement to payment differs as follows. First, there are no purchase requisitions. The buffer norms are analyzed. Buffer norms, I will tell you that what is buffer norms. Buffer norms are opening stock, the stock available with us, what is the lead time, and how much time is consumed in that lead time. Accordingly, we arrive to reorder level, and that reorder level is defined as buffer norm. So we have buffer norms. And for non-standardized requirements, there is this one, purchase requisition. For standardized requirements, there is buffer norms. Next, quotation invitation, and the ordering. For quotation invitation, there is no quotation invitation. We have approved vendors list. There is vendor KYC audit also. So approved vendors are those vendors for whom we have already done vendor KYC. In vendor KYC, there are policies of companies. What all requirements we should take from the vendor, and what all things we are requiring. Just I will put it here one example, like in chemical industry I have audited, the hazardous waste is there, and that hazardous waste is sold to some vendor. Those vendor should have approval from central government or say a government authority, and such government authority allocates one certification that they are allowed to process this hazardous waste for them, and that certificate copy must be with our client. This is one of the KYC requirement for that hazardous waste customer. Sorry, it was into actually order to cash. It is jumbled up. For procurement to payment, we should have vendor KYC, another thing, and for order to cash, we should have customer KYC, in which we are selling hazardous waste to that customer, and that customer should have approval from the government, as the customer is allowed to process that hazardous waste, procure that hazardous waste, and process the hazardous waste. In that, we pointed out that customer, I will explain procurement to payment, but before that, I will go complete this example because I'm into it. Is it okay? Is it okay? Okay. I think I should carry on. Hello?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay,
no problem. Yeah, you can proceed. No problem.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. First, I will explain that example. We jotted down some points in that a company should have. Actually, the limit is, according the quantum kgs or tons of material it should procure particular customer in particular period, and it should process it, and such limit is allocated by the government to such customer, and out of that that customer allocates some part to our client. Say my company is X, and that customer is Y, and that customer has taken approval from government for 1000 tons of waste processing. Then that customer Y allocates to my client Mr. X as suppose 200 tons of material. So it cannot it cannot procure more than 200 tons of material from the client that Mr. X. Okay, we pointed out that there was some part exceeding. It was such marginal that 200 and something tons. So we actually reported it, but we also suggested that this should not happen, and the control must be there, and you should track on day-to-day basis, or say a week-to-week basis. Such instances should not happen, and there should be some module inbuilt in your software ERP, and that will set a limit, sale limit on such customers procurement, and it will automatically pop up to you that this is going to exceed in some days, and you should sell it to another customer. You should have alternatives of such hazardous processing hazardous waste processing customers. So that was one of the example. So I was in procurement to payment, and I will continue with that. Vendor KYC points should be there, and vendor KYC should be audited also. Then we will go to purchase order placement. There are some standard limits as per the company's policies. In how many days purchase requisitions must be closed? In how many days purchase order must be closed? Means at the time of PO generation, purchase requisition is already closed. It is deemed as closed. But in purchase requisition, they specify PO need by date. In one of the ERP, that is Oracle, I have observed that they have PO need by date, which means by that date, purchase requisition raising person requires such material in his department or in his hand to process operations further. So before that, PO must be created, then PO must be approved, and the purchase order is placed to the vendor, and procurement and delivery security inward should be there. So next point is in procurement to payment. Next point is security inward, or actual movement of stock into the factory or say plant. Okay, so in that supportings, we check supportings on which date the vendor invoice is generated. It should not have been prior to purchase orders. Now I will move on to further, because too many things to explain in that also further. So it should be moved in into the factory before the date PO need by date, which is actual requirement fulfillment date expected by the purchase requisition department. Next is after getting in, there should be recorded security register as well as vehicle register, and it should be matched with purchase order, and the invoice rate should be matched with the purchase order. Then after coming into the premises of the factory, we should weigh it, and that weighment slip should be there. Gross weight, net weight, tar weight. Tar weight means containers weight. So net weight will be gross weight, including material as well as container. Net weight is the net weight of the material that should match with the purchase order weight, in which we prescribe that this much tons of material we want. We should have tagging of testing of material. In that we first there must be a I can say one instance here also, that we analyze all the things. Just quality testing procedure was pending for some material, and it was stored at the same location at where the quality approved material is kept. So we suggested that this should not happen. Quality tested material and quality not tested material should not into the store, or it should be into the store register separately, as just it is the possession is in stores and stored it a separate location. And after that, after approval by the testing department, there must be a sign of quality testing and quality testing checklist that should match with the standardized quality testing checklist that the organization have. It's like the X material should have this quality, this quality, A quality, B quality, C quality. Then that standardized checklist must be checked with the quality testing department's checklist. They have marked that A quality is tested, yes it has, or it has not. So if it has not that quality, then they should reject the material. It's not like that they are compromising on the quality. So that quality assurance department's audit is also in between. After such all the things, the that invoice is approved for the payment, and subsequently a payment is done after approval of HOD and finance. Till that procurement to payment I have explained. I will go to order to cash. Order to cash is can be explained as from customer we are receiving order, and till the customer after sale we are receiving cash, or say bank payment, literally payment. In that, in one of the organization, plastic manufacturing company was that, plastic furniture manufacturing. We just list down all the orders, sales orders we have on hand. We took that report IP, and we compared with the purchase orders of the customers. There were too many cancellations in that organization of sales orders, and customer went to any other company for purchasing that material. I pointed out that this is huge loss of sales, and also loss of reputation. So accordingly, I have reported that in report we give this one impact as operational impact, legal impact. I will cover that afterwards. But just to refer that, I have noted that down, and I observed that there are too many losses of orders. So I reported that also, that reputation is getting down, and they said that this is due to COVID pandemic. Then I want the approval for all these things from the sales HOD, that they are allowing to cancel these materials because non-availability of produced material, or something else, traded material also. So they should have control on the sales which is getting cancelled, sale orders getting cancelled. After that customer order, if material is rejected by the customer, there was a policy of the company that till 1 year a customer can reject on the some certain terms basis. CCRF form is filled up. The CCRF is customer complaint reporting format. CCRF form is there, and that form is filled up by the customer. We should check that the points observed, the points stated by the company, out of that only that customer has filled up such point. And if it is not, why it should company should accept such rejection. Also, after analyzing this, there should not be we can analyze that in a single point there should not be multiple rejections on the single point, like scratches on the chair. Every customer is rejecting due to scratches on the chair. It should not happen. That we should note down that these many instances customer is rejecting because of only scratches on the chair. there should be a quality control procedure before selling, that quality approval procedure before selling that chairs to the customer, because that will also impact on our client's reputation, and we should report that also, that it is affecting our this one reputation. So after sale, sale order approval is there, making of sales invoice there. In making of sales invoice and sale order approval, there are agreements with the customers, multiple customers. This usually what happens is, we usually give a quotation, and on the basis of competitive quotation analysis, they place a order to us. But in many cases, there are this one agreements with the customer that this much material they will purchase in this year at this price only, and we should audit that also. That there are two parts. One, we can audit manually, like standardized rates as per agreements versus rates as mentioned in IPE, that is a report generated from the ERP. We should compare that. If there are some deviations, we should report that also. But primarily, we should give them suggestion. If it is like manual audit, then we should give suggestion that price locking must be there in the software. That should be done by the senior higher authority, and that authority is and price updation policy must be there, and according to that price updation policy only, price must be updated by that authorized person in ERP. Then after sale invoice, we deliver the material. There are quality checks also. We generate e-way bills. We can cross verify e-way bills with our LR copy as well as delivery acknowledgement from the customers. After that, after accepting the material, the credit period allocated to the customer should not exceed. There is actually outstanding receivable analysis typically, in which we go by one, date, and second, limit. If customer is allocated 1 month period, then they should pay us 1 month within 1 month period. And if they are not paying within 1 month, there must be inbuilt control that will not allow to generate sale invoice against it. So in that way we can do also. Again, by limit amount limit, there also there must be a control in the ERP that which is predefined level of credit limit should not exceed the sales. And if in some certain exceptional cases, if it is exceeding, then that should be supported by the senior management authorization or such policy. There should be a policy first of the company to allow sale beyond such limits prescribed, credit limit prescribed, and we should evaluate that policy is not affecting our liquidity and working capital. In that way, it should have been built. That policy also should be in compliance with our budgetary controls. That is the much more point. We were doing budgetary budget and policy audit. In that, observe that customer cycle time is there for working capital, and this one vendor cycle time is also there, in which usually material is produced, sold, and cash is realized, and we have to pay the cash. That is budgeted, and that budgeted, if it is not implemented in standard operating procedures, it will not be evaluated in actual scenarios. That if standard operating suppose I will say that my budget, annualized budget prescribe that customer will pay me cash in 30 days. Okay. And I'm allowing in standard operating process, I'm allowing that customer to allow 45 days of credit. And I will do actual audit, and that customer is taking paying me in 42 days. Then also company is affected, I'm sure. So that way also we have to see that part also. So according to order to cash is covered right now. I'm going to job work. Uh, we we analyze that there are some job workers of the companies of that client, and uh, in job work what happens is the raw material is delivered or intermediate material is delivered to some another company. They process some part on it, and after that there are two parts. One is directly sold to the customer, or the second one is returned to the factory within some days, and then it is sold to the customer. In job work, I identified one part that actually, let's say I will put in an example. Mr. X is a client, and our client, our entity, and Y is a job worker. X is sending 100 tons of material, and Mr. Y is producing as per standardized ratio. Mr. Y is supposed to produce 100 to 50 kg, 50 tons of material. So 50 tons of material should be inwarded within 180 days. Even there is compliance part also, GST compliance part also. We should check that part with this areas, means while checking this area also. So I observed that I asked them that I want customer that job worker wise inward and outward material data support. How much material went, how much material arrived, and what is usual cycle time to produce that material, and how much usually allowed to store at a job worker's location. Say 100 tons is sent, 2 months is a cycle time. I should get 50 tons within 2 months. It should not exceed 2 months. We have to check that part also. So we first have normal loss calculations, and that standardized normal loss calculations should be compared with actual inward of material from the job worker. So if there are some abnormalities, we can detect that, we can ask for that. And I observed that in that cases, he sent us the material within 1 month only, and he sent us only 40 kgs, and he was telling that he has the remaining raw material as a 20 kg, means out of 80 he has produced 40. He sent us within 1 month also, and 20 kg is still lying with him, raw material. We wanted a certification from them. He was not giving us a certifying that he has 20 kgs. Then he furnished us a certification that he has 10 kg of raw material and 10 kg of WIP. Then we got a doubt, because usual cycle time is 2 months. He is sending us within 1 month only 40 kg, and 40 kg is produced in 1 month. If I go by usualness, actually it should be a 25 kg produced out of 50 kg. So we required a quality department to produce the quality testing report for that. So they were also not ready to give, but they give us, and then we realize that 40 out of that 40 kg, 25 kg was a very good material, good quality of material, and that 15 kg was some uh, degraded quality material, and these people are accepting that way only. So we reported that. So then realization of cash from job work, job worker, if it is sending directly to the customer, in sending a material directly from the job worker to the customer, we should analyze that whether finished goods is lying with them. So job worker stock is analyzed with three parts. Also, raw material lying with job worker, intermediate product WIP lying with job worker, and finished goods lying with job worker. Also, quality testing must be performed at the job worker's place by our quality department. If it is not there, certainly client is going to get rejected material, because he is sending directly to the customer. In that case, we should test their quality, output quality in their places by our quality testing department. We should ask for quality testing department such report that the amount of goods sold to customer directly by the job worker and tested by our quality department. That report also we will be requiring. There is job worker charges also we should pay, and on that we should analyze GST and TDS. If there is any ineligibility of taking GST credit also, we should analyze that. RCM, transportation costs, too many things to analyze in job work cycle. And with this job worker cycle sense, in transaction audit, what we do is we are allocated one scope of transactions, analyze to check with the standardized criteria. So I'm trying right now only, trying to tell you right now only what is predefined criteria. Predefined criteria is nothing but control objectives. Control objectives is nothing. Control objective is nothing but a measure on the risk mitigation steps. Actually, internal control is also internal control is a whole framework of multiple controls that results into internal control. But actually, ultimately, these are risk mitigation steps. So, what is risk, and whether it is mitigated by the control is the risk control objective, and that risk control objective is a predefined criteria against which we evaluate transaction audit, transactions, each and every transaction. So review of compliances, operations that enable compliances. Review of compliances is a special another part. It is a specifically operations which are performed to enable compliance with laws and regulations. Like many organizations have GST department, TDS department. They have set of operating procedures like TDS report generation, expense report generation, and then the comparison of TDS report with expense report, lower deduction certificate one. Yeah, I will give you example in this. We analyze that actually corporate that client has some vendors which had given them lower deduction certifications, and in one cases that vendor has in one vendor has lodged a complaint. We later on come to know that vendor has lodged a complaint that they are deducting on a higher rate or regular rate, even after producing lower deduction certificates. But we primarily detected in this way that we analyzed in all the things like expense report, TDS deduction report, and we asked for all lower deduction certificates file, and we checked out each and every vendor whether they are deducted as per the lower deduction certificate rate. Even lower deduction certificate limit is also there, that we should check such limit is not violated. And so in that we noted that X vendor is the X vendor, for X vendor they are deducting at 10% regular 194J one, and he had produced at 2% for 194J low deduction certification. So for that mistake, we asked what action they have taken. They didn't give us anything, but we reported that, and in that that internal audit department situated in the company told us that this vendor actually lodged a complaint that we are deducting at 10% instead of doing at 2%, deducting at 2%. So I suggested for automation. Right now, I will tell you that I suggested that vendor master should have a column of lower deduction certificate, and percentage of uh, percentage of uh, TDS deduction rate which is prescribed in described in certificate produced by the vendor. So I suggested that there must be a control in ERP only to in the fashion that the vendor name must be there, TDS limit must be there, TDS a section must be there, lower deduction certificate whether yes or no produce yes, it should be taken marked. Then the percentage of rate they have produced like 2% for 194J, and the limit they have prescribed, it should be inputted in ERP only. So I can get directly dump and dump from this ERP and directly tell them that there would be no chances even for such violation of lower deduction certification, and lodging of complaint by the vendor that we are deducting for more, and they are asking for less, like at 2%. So such operations are checked under review of compliances. Walkthrough is performed, whereas for whole processes there are divided into sub processes. Sub processes are has some things that we actually do documentation, that which this process has some objective, what all objectives of processes, then controls over such processes, maker, making person, checker person, maker, checker, authorized person, authorization and make authorizer and maker persons. What are the controls, manual controls, what are automated controls, what is the objective on each control. So in that fashion, we have each and every sub processes, and what is the sequence of processes it should have been followed. What are the provisions for exceptions. Right now I am talking from pandemic aspects. There are few persons which are coming to the place and actually performing operations in the company, and some persons are not even present, means 50% of staff is working, 50% is not working. So they are sharing some changing access test, that is user access card. Usually after user access login, we get some part to access only. Like for auditors, we get only all things to display. Some people get only all things to input, or some areas to input. PR department will get PR related aspects to input only. So in that way happens. So we had just jotted down that through, and that walkthrough is performed at preliminary assessment level. So conceptual walkthrough. In conceptual walkthrough, we will go through risk assessment. Risk assessment is nothing but analysis of potential of occurrence of threat, potential of exploiting vulnerability. Vulnerability, we say weaknesses. Threat, we say external person or even internal person trying to manipulate data or getting some benefit out of it, like that. Internal control, in nutshell, I have put it as a risk mitigation step. Actually, internal control definition is too much wider. Is too much wider, and it covers too many things. But ultimate nutshell is the risk mitigation steps. Whatever risks are arising are mitigated by the controls. Just a second. Charger. Predefined criteria. Predefined criteria is SOPs only, as I have earlier told that what SOPs want to actually want that control, how the control is to be updated. Actually, I would like to close my video. It's getting low battery. Okay, I will continue. Sorry for interruption. Okay, now I'm coming on the journey to the value addition, deliver value, get value. So,
Yadanish,
yes, sir, sorry.
Sorry. Your video is, your camera is off.
Yeah, actually, just I closed because my laptop is getting low battery.
Continue.
Just sorry for that. Is it okay?
Yeah. Please,
Is it
please.
okay?
Yeah, you can continue. After 5-10 minutes, you can again switch on your audio. No problem.
Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So journey to the value addition. It's like internal audit is right. In many cases, internal audit is expense for the organization. It is like statutory requirements, and that's why they are performing it. But it will gradually will get a value in terms of in the eyes of management. Hope it will get, but it will get only if we deliver value. Then we will also get additional value in terms of monetary fees and all. And this value addition is actually possible only after engagement acceptance. I will start my video. Okay. Yeah. So for journey to value addition, I have written down something myself. Since internal auditors are required to evaluate and express opinion on the financial on the information system of the company, in all types of audit, the focus is on risk and controls. We as an internal auditor are expected to evaluate and report on achievement of control objectives. Value addition through reporting is achieved only when we could meet the expectations of the client, even though not 100%. Alignment of IT control objectives with enterprise control objectives is the crux of overall enterprise control policy. IT now on this point, alignment of IT control objective with enterprise control objective, I will explain part of it. That enterprise control objective is like for each PO, I will say as per SOP, for each PO there must be a PR. So the IT control objective will fulfill it in this way. If you at the time of user interface of generation of purchase order, at the time of user interface of the purchase of the purchase order, in user interface, if you give a input box, and in that if you are required to put a purchase requisition number generated in the system, or select a purchase requisition number in the system, and without which if PO is not getting generated, then that IT control, input validation control, is serving the purpose of enterprise control. So in that way, alignment of IT control objective with enterprise control objective is the crux of overall enterprise control policy. Reporting on achievement of control objectives, recommendations as to what measures can be implemented to strengthen the information system in the way that formulated SOPs are strictly implemented, and there will not be lacuna at all, though it is not 100% feasible. I know that this 100% feasibility is not there, but to 99%, or we may say that to the extent of Dettol, 99.99%, we should try to deliver such value and such expectations to fulfill it, and then only we will get that value as usual as stat audit. That's my opinion. Minimum contents of report, associated risk, that I think we should report associated risk, effectiveness of controls, potential implications, impacts, basis of recommendations and suggestions. I will go through it in next. Welcome to era of IT. So associated risk of overlooking vulnerability, like if there is some vulnerability like weakness that I have seen in one organization that after generating report for each purchase order, there are no PRs for each purchase orders, and I have suggested that there must be an input validation control in the PO user interface only to put PR, so that the overlooking risk was there. Risk of lack of controls over vulnerability, मतलब उधर control ही नहीं है, vulnerability actually lack of overlooking vulnerability is अपने पास weakness है पर अपने को पता ही नहीं कि वो weakness है अपने पास. That is the risk. And control over vulnerability is we know that अपने पास weakness है and we have implemented controls on it, but we have not implemented control on it, is the risk. We should implement it. Okay, implement it. Risk of lack of operating effectiveness in implemented controls. It's like हमने ताला तो लगा दिया है, चाबी भी लगा दी है, पर अगर मैंने ऐसे हाथ रख के हिला दिया तो वो ताला निकल जा रहा है. It's not operating effectively, that implemented controls. So that risk is covered here. Risk of occurrence of incident means we have done our best. Incident is nothing but exploitation of vulnerability by the threat after all the things. मतलब जो threat है वो अपनी vulnerability जानती है और उसने उसका फायदा उठा लिया और खुद के लिए कुछ benefit कर लिया, तो this is the hazardous thing, that someone has taken a benefit of the enterprise for its personal or his personal purpose. So that risk is covered here. That is covered as incident. Incident is risk of exploiting vulnerability by the threat in typical terms. I have explained it in simple terms. The risk of failure of control to prevent incident. Risk of failure to control, failure of control to detect इंसिडेंट. मतलब हमने वो इंसिडेंट प्रिवेंट करने के लिए भी कंट्रोल लगाया पर वो भी फेल हो गया. ओके, वो फेल हुआ तो भी चलेगा भाई, पर इंसिडेंट डिटेक्ट करने के लिए जो कंट्रोल लगाया वो भी फेल हो गया. ठीक है, उतना तो हो ही गया. लास्ट इज द वर्स्ट. मतलब ये सब करके जो करेक्शन के लिए अपन ने कंट्रोल लगाया कि भाई इंसिडेंट हुआ, उसका कुछ इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है, उसको अपन करेक्ट करने के लिए एक कंट्रोल लगाया, वो भी फेल हो गया. That is covered in the last one. I have given here one example of associated risk. I have explained it earlier also. Risk of overleaking, vulnerability, inappropriate evaluation of quotations and selection manually. So I will explain in detail right now. In system only we can put that dashboard. So we can input it quotations received from the customer from the vendors, and that system is taking only the decisions how the selection is going to uh, be happen, and which vendor will be selecting. And in quality aspects also, in pricing aspect also, if someone is getting a chance rather than another one, like the organization is selecting X vendor as compared to Y, then we should if the price is also same, the quality is also same, and then also we are selecting X over the Y, we should get some reason out of it, that why we are going with X and not Y. Effectiveness of control. Control might be effective, partially effective. Effective is like 10 of 10 transactions or 10 of 9 transactions, we can say, are covered in control. Partially effective is like less than a tolerance level. Tolerance level right now, I have used the word tolerance level is like भाई एक ट्रांजेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम हुआ ना चल जाएगा. That tolerance level अपनी organization should produce to us, and then that effectiveness and partial effectiveness will be differing in that. Control exists but ineffective. We should report on these things, that control exists but ineffective. Lack of control, there is no control at all. This possibility might be like organization has not identified even a control, and not applicable in some cases. There is no part of control to play in it, but there are some things other than control that might be playing a role, like the process, maker shaker process is in itself playing a role of control. There might be a not specific control in it. Effectiveness of control, I have given an example for reporting. Failure to create PR before PO. Monthly PR PO review is a manual control actually. I am explaining first manual. This one is inappropriate evaluation of quotation and selection is manually, and in system no dashboard. Okay, in this case monthly PRPO review analysis of report is a manual analysis. In system no input validation control in PO creation user form. I explained this earlier. The only reference to PR number is present. In SAP I observed that there is only reference to PR. There is no such point that if I didn't select it, it will go on. I can't create PO. Okay, so in next slide, I think I have to sum up like, okay na, potential implications and impact. We can convince them or convey them like potential implications or impact. We can bifurcate it as operation impact. In one case, we observed that there was no payment violation or in TDS, or there was one reporting violation in TDS. Even not quarterly, it was monthly violation. July's transactions were reported into August report in the TDS return. So that was the operational impact. There was no financial impact at all. There was no penalty or such a, because payment were done correctly, deduction were done in the same month, nothing else. Just it was a quarterly return, but transactions of the July reported in the return as August. So we put it as operational impact. And financial impact also, we know that financial losses, legal impacts, if we delay in TDS or we delay in right now we observe that in factory there were legal penalty was imposed by the government authority on that plant of 11 lakhs, and this was because of they had authority to run one boiler at a time, but they run two boilers. In such instances, before even government authority notices, we can report in our report that this type of impact is possible, legal impact or and other impacts, potential implications or impacts. I have given here one example, like the root cause is service delivery failure. As I have earlier said that many customers were rejecting customer were rejected our because of non-availability of production items. So this will cause impact on reputation. The potential loss is 4 crore. Then what is the probability of happening such thing in the organization? It is 100% probability that the service delivery failure happens many that but the volume is huge, 4 crores. So control effectiveness is strong, so residual risk value is 1 crore. It's like 75% of the 4 crore. You can multiply 4 crore into 1 into 0.75. It comes to 3 crore. The residual value risk value is 1 crore, which is not where the control is not effective. 75% cases में अपना control effective है, but in 25% cases में अपना control effective नहीं है. That 1 crore is residual risk value. Control wrong financial plan and budget. Sorry, wrong financial plan and budget. कॉस्ट ओवररन हो सकती है, जैसे कि मैंने अभी बजट का ऑडिट बोला, उस केस में कॉस्ट ओवररन हो सकती है. दैट पोटेंशियल लॉस इज 3 करोड़. प्रोबेबिलिटी इज 50% ऑफ द केसेस में हो सकता है, और उसमें कंट्रोल इफेक्टिव भी 50% ऑफ केसेस है. तो रिमेनिंग इज 0.75 करोड़, विच इज एक्चुअली अ रिस्क वैल्यू. This 1 crore, 0.75 crore, 0.9375 crore is a risk value on which we are taking a risk. This is what a tolerance level is. If it is exceeding the company's threshold, this is not good. But if it is not exceeding, then it is okay for the organization. Types of recommendations and suggestions. Changes in policies. Taking basis of valuation of inventories. I have covered here an example that we should actually we suggested change in policies of valuation. They used to take annualized production capacity, but we suggested them that to take a quarterly, because only in case of pandemic cases there are lot many fluctuations in the production cases. So we suggested that please change the basis of valuation of inventories. Take while calculating plant cost, please take quarterly production. Changes in manual operations and system, labeling process of stock and storage. Actually, we observed that in one case they just inward it and then start labeling. But we told them that it should not happen. Actually, while inwarding, they should label and then inward. First labeling should be done that it is unapproved and before pending for testing, and then inward. So take into this storage, change in IT operations and system, change in user interfaces. I gave already example for this. Change in user interface of purchase order, changes in overall objectives. There might be some changes in control objectives. There might be some changes in process objectives. Such objectives we can suggest such things. Business process automation, automation of security inward and register, we noted that in security inward, vehicle inward, one vehicle was not get entry. There was no entry for one vehicle inverted into vehicle inward register. So we told them that vehicle number plate scanner, you can put it. So it will automatically get automated, and vehicle inward procedure is not required to maintain at all. But there must be a manual backup procedure also to note that these operations are working effectively. These automated operations are working effectively. Any other recommendations, like maintenance of valuation manual? I done this valuation procedure audit, inventory valuation procedure audit. So I asked them that please give me a valuation manual where you have prescribed that annual capacity should be taken, quarterly expense totals should be taken for the plant. All this, whatever you are saying to us, and on the basis of which we are checking, you first give us valuation manual which is authorized by the senior personnel. They told us that we don't have it. So we suggested to maintain that valuation manual, inventory valuation manual. Then this is the huge thing last I have mentioned. Need to perform redefinition of processes, structures, systems, or business process reengineering. This will, I think, will not be covered in the usual engagements. These might be a special consultancy engagements, as I have mentioned earlier, like special consultancy engagement. We are appointing internal auditor to consult us what we should do. In that case, I think this suggestion will cover. But we may in audit also we can try that also. Basis of recommendations, on what basis we will recommend are mentioned here. We can do SWOT analysis, standard guidance notes, and research material published by or issued by various institutions, benchmark industry practices, research and development. Like research and development is like I am also means we internal auditors are experimenting, like if we do this, what will happen? If we do that, what will happen? That R&D procedure we can do, and based on that we can recommend. Business knowledge we have obtained in preliminary the preliminary assessment while we are entering into engagement. Professional expertise and experiences, as earlier we have taken our professional expertise and experiences in same industry, in any other industry, in same organization, in many other organizations. That industry standards also supports us, like benchmark industry practices and professional experiences. We can make basis of recommendations. Finally, overview of internal standards on internal audit. There are some standards which are prescribed in training material of the our institute. I have jotted down, like planning of internal audit, basic principles governing audit, integrity, objectivity, and all the things. Documentation. Documentation is the crux of our internal audit, because earlier when I was new, I did the audit. I prescribed all the things, but my boss scolded me, and even that inter audit department also scolded me a lot. That where is your basis? On what basis you are telling me that these things are happening in our company? So in that way, I remembered permanently that documentation is the whole crux of our exercise. Reporting, I have covered briefly on that. Sampling, we have haphazard sampling, stratified sampling, control based, risk assess based sampling. Too many things to cover here. In sampling, we can select sample on the basis of some exceptional reports also. Data analytics softwares also are also there to help us in sampling. we can do a data analysis more in Access. We can just input our query it may produce us some report or data that may take as our sample. Analytical process also that is usual thing. We know that we take ratios and all the things, compare with prior periods, compare with the same period, earlier transactions and all that things. Quality assurance in internal audit and terms of internal audit engagement. After all, nothing is perfect and everything is perfect in its imperfection. Thank you, and sorry if anything is missed and I have done or said something wrong or against your views. These views are expressed by me, and thank you for all to hear me patiently and giving your time. After all, you are such a senior person, and I'm learning too many things from you, and thank you. Over to you, sir. Bhavin sir.
Yeah, thank you, Yadnish. Abhay sir, your remarks and comments, please. Abhay sir, please unmute.
Sorry. Excellent presentation, Yadnish. So congratulations on that, number one. See, typically what happens, most of the aspects are covered. Right now, as far as internal audit is concerned, we are moving towards majoritarily risk-based internal audit. And therefore, what we try to do is we identify the risk first, and then accordingly we plan our audit program. But typically in internal audit, the scope of internal audit can be decided by the management. And unlike any statutory audit, because there the scope is decided by statute itself, the reporting format is also decided by statute or institute guidelines. Yeah. So in that case, this case, management can decide what are the areas to be seen, which are the areas which they feel risky, and therefore, in the appointment itself, one has to understand the scope of the assignment very clearly. Having understood that one, and with proper due diligence, you have accepted the things. And then one more thing is, whenever you are into internal audit, some people ask whether previous auditors NOC is required. According to me, yes, it is required, and therefore it is better to take such a NOC, because tomorrow, by some interpretation, you should not come in a problem that you are not taken NOC from the previous auditor, and therefore from the Institute Code of Ethics, one has to take the, having accepted the this one appointment, better to understand the process, try to go through the SOPs, that is standard operating processes, and then whatever was mentioned about RCMs, that is risk control matrix. Now, what is risk control matrix? The overall process is specified, and where there are risks which needs to be controlled at that point of time, those controls are identified. What are the controls? They are specified in this risk control matrix, and subsequently, if suppose that control is not there, what is going to be the alternate control? Suppose in system particular control is not there, in a bank, say identification of NPA is there, but making provision may not be there in the system, Finacle. Then what is the alternative control? That is, it could be done manually or through some other software, but the transition process and maker checker concept, that is the alternate process. So therefore, ideally what happens is such type of controls should be there. While we are carrying out, because I'm trying to sum up what is said, because ultimately what is important for us, what we take away from this study circle meeting. And therefore I'm trying to sum up what Yajnesh had said. It's maybe at the cost of repetition, but maybe in a capsule, what can understand is. So identifying the source data. What is the source of data? What are the control points and the authorities which are specified in the various organizations? Whether these authorities have been followed properly, the control points are tested through audit, and they are operating effectively. That is what we try to ascertain through our internal audit process. When you get data, data mining is most important thing. That is individual skill of the auditor, and auditor has to mine, data mining has to be done, and the data sample has to be selected accordingly, and that sample verification has to be done. What is more important is whether you know that industry or not, how far you know, how far you are aware of all this thing, rather than what is your logic is most important thing as far as internal audit is concerned, because you should not forget the logic. I don't know presently it is there or not, but when I was appearing for CA entrance examination, in commerce, you don't have logic as the topic. It used to be there for the arts side. But CA entrance exam, one of the paper was there for logic, 100 marks paper was there. At that point of time, there was question in my mind as to why logic should be kept as one of the paper, which otherwise we have not studied so far. That used to be after 12th CA entrance exam. But throughout my practice, I understood that that is the most important paper or most important syllabus for us, whether you know the subject properly or not. If the logic is alive, I can say, then you can do audit quite effectively and efficiently. As far as the observations are concerned, the observations have to be very specific, and as Yajnesh has mentioned, it should be supported with facts. So when you are reporting also, it is always better to report the facts than where exactly you feel that there is a deviation from the SOP, legal framework, etc. Then what is your opinion on that one? How do you conclude on that particular thing? And then subsequently, what is the final remedy out of that? What is your suggestion? Because it is final, this difference is there, it is not happening, fine, but what is the suggestion? That yes, this control should be there. If it is not there, what is to be done? That has to be mentioned in your report, then only that report will be usable. One more thing, whenever I am talking about the report, sorry, this report has to be discussed with the concerned person, operating team, and the report has to be finalized after discussion with them. There has to be management response, and if possible, take timelines for corrective actions. Then only internal audit exercise will be perfect or quite effective. Because if I point out certain deficiencies and they are not followed properly, they are not rectified within the time frame, the whole exercise goes waste, because you are just reporting it again and again, and then that effectiveness of internal audit gets lost. One more thing about the reporting is the reporting overall language, sentence formation, presentation, etc. should be done considering the reader's mind, what readers exactly expect from you, how he will understand that one. Don't use necessarily commercial jargons or tax jargons, legal jargons. Be simple. The report should be as simple as possible, which can be understood by any layman. And if we do that one, that is fine. One of the point in the discussion was availability of previous report. There are two things, according to me. The report of previous auditor should be available to the subsequent internal auditor. It is required. Reason is, one is not to copy that one. So you have to take care that people should not say you have copied the earlier report and submitted the report. So even if the points are same, possibly you have to use your language in such a fashion that people are aware that you have got your own language and your own expression. So that care has to be taken. But apart from that, there is an internal audit standard which says monitoring and reporting of prior audit issues. If I don't review previous audit report, how I am going to report on prior audit issues, whether they were properly monitored and reported or not, I mean attended or not. And therefore, wherever, that's why I said that institute literature is always to your help. Because if you are interested, I will quote some small example. I'll take another 2 minutes possibly. I know that the people have to go for their festive thing. See, at one place, the bank refused to give RBI inspection report. The concerned MD was very stubborn, saying that it is confidential and it is not to be made available to the auditor, statutory auditor, banks. We have shown the guidance note. We have tried to show him that, yes, it's a preview of us. Third thing, in the financial statements of the bank, if there are deviations for more than 10% or 15%, depending on both the situations, you have to report that one, what are the deviations RBI inspector had found out. And if that is the thing, how I am going to respond the correctness of that disclosure in financial statement. Somehow the stubbornness was so that it was not made. He said that we will give you only annexure of divergence, no other things. And we confirm that there is nothing affecting financial statements. That's all. Ultimately, what we have to do is we have to put that one as one of the emphasis of matters, wherein we said that this was not available. So out of that one, if there are any relevant matter, we are unaware of that one, and that is not attended to. When this was there, even Reserve Bank of India subsequently has to come out that yes, it should be made to the statutory auditors for eyes only, not to copy it or not to carry it out of the building of the bank, but it should be made available to the statutory auditor. So this is the, what you can say, importance of what we have got the literature from the institute side, what we have got the general literature, and our own logic, argumentation, etc. So friends, internal audit per se is an area, not that everybody gets the statutory audit, but as far as internal audits are concerned, one is internal audit, or to some extent agreed upon procedures. That agreed upon procedures, we get good opportunity as far as profession is concerned. As far as the chartered accountants in practice are concerned, if they concentrate on this activity and take care of what is stated in this session, and plus whatever literature available, I believe that it's a good professional opportunity, it's a good learning, and the purpose of this particular thing is very well achieved. I thank Ghatkopar Study Circle for inviting me over here, and I thank Yajnesh also to, what you can say is, look at this subject thoroughly from the angle that yes, I have to chair this session. So it was a good opportunity for me, and of course it was nice meeting you. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best in the profession. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, so one question is there.
Yes.
Yadnesh, you mentioned that exit meetings should
Yes,
be
sir.
there. So question is, sir, exit
Yeah.
meeting is required compulsory, and if any issues come out, basically you can, there's hot issues coming out, argument and all that. How to handle that? Can you explain in one minute, if possible?
If
Hello.
exit meeting usually done, and it is almost a compulsory operation of the internal audit, and to handle the part of the argument procedures, many a times what we had adopted is we just jot down the counter arguments of the persons, and they also we also tell them that please tell your point in overall aspect, and what we should report in that part. Just put yourself into our shoes, and then try to analyze our position, and try to understand us, and then we will try to understand you. In that way, we try to jot down some their points. We try to jot down our points, and accordingly we try to conclude that part. Sir, Abhay sir's opinion.
Shall I add on something? Huh? Yeah. I'll just add on.
Actually,
see, it's a discussion basically. It's not negotiation. That one has to understand. Exit meeting is not negotiation. It's a discussion. We try to understand your view, and please try to understand our view. Whosoever wants to correct, that should be corrected. So if at all you feel that the management is correct, then you correct yourself. If you feel you are right, you convince the management that they should change their view. That is one aspect. Second thing is, most of the occasions what happens, whatever we are mentioning over there, facts may be perfect. So from facts angle, You are correct. But from the angle of wording or reporting, possibly there may be one or two sentences in such a fashion that will not be appreciated by the management, and therefore hit and hot argument starts. So wherein possibly one should understand where the shoe is pinching in that argument, try to understand. And in such meeting, I always try to tell you that take your team also along with you. It is not only the partner, engagement partner or team in charge should be there, but along with that one, if your team is backing, the facts can be better known. In a way, what happens, even if we are representing the firm or we are signing, as an engagement partner, I am signing, but the operating level person must be knowing more. So if at all there is anything add on, the person can supplement what your understanding is. So that is one aspect.
Yes.
And yeah, Nish. Okay, so that is how I think exit meeting should be conducted. Wherever you feel that this sentence formation can be improvised,
Hello.
you can very well do that one. Yes, please.
It's like if team is participating, they know that in the circumstances in which they are they have come to this conclusion and they are putting this part in the that actually circumstance in that case. I think so.
Yeah. And jokingly, I always say, though it is a fact, but one should not quote me anywhere. But there are 3 C's when auditee argues. That is, one is, if your observation is correct, the auditee confesses, that accepts your argument or your opinion or your observation. Second one is, if it is not, they want to contest, they will contest. But then still they find that we are on slippery wicket, that whenever we are contesting, it is slippery wicket. There are some people who are having very good skill of confusing the auditors. So while arguing with you, they will put up so many facts, so many things in such a manner that ultimately you lose your point. Try to confuse and concentrate on something else. So that is the reason why I say that you should have at least 2 people. So if at all you are slipping somewhere, somebody else will take you on track and the discussion will be in a fruitful manner. That is how it is. Yes, that's all. I think one person, somebody raised a query that kindly throw a light on IFCO FR, that is internal financial control and financial reporting. Just I take 2 minutes if it is permitted by the organizers. See, typically what happens, this is a report which is compulsory from the Companies Act angle. What is more important is, Yagnesh had already touched with this purchase, procurement to payment and order to cash. But what is more important, what you need is various processes. Maybe along with that one, you may have acquisition of fixed asset, financial closures, and various other possible. One can refer the guidance note on IFCO and try to see whether they have got RCMs available, risk control matrix available. Some of the places it is not available. There you can ask the company whether they would like to give the assignment of developing RCMs for the company. That's a good professional opportunity. One can very well do that. Having done that one, then if at all RCMs are to be developed, you should understand the process totally. Within the process, what is the way the things are moving and what is the documentation which we have got. I remember my auditing textbook, which used to have the diagram as to how the document flows and what are the various documents in the total process one has to track when we have to verify the internal control. See, for audit, we have to verify the internal control. Only thing as far as reporting is concerned, Institute and the Companies Act expects us to give report on internal financial control on financial reporting only. So whatever financial convergences are there out of the process, operating processes, that needs to be reported, those weaknesses, etc. Second thing is, if you find a particular process is not proper, or there are lack of controls at some places, there are no alternative controls, etc. You need not say that there doesn't, you don't, the company does not have any internal financial control on financial reporting. One has to identify in last paragraph, whenever you are qualifying, you cannot say that it doesn't exist. If you say it doesn't exist, the whole report which you give under SA 700 will be in problem, because that is based on internal control, and therefore normally don't say that internal financial control and financial reporting does not exist. You can say in particular area, which area you feel that this does not exist. So that is how one has to report, study the process, do some testing, because that internal financial control testing also has to be done. If it's a big company, try to ask them that how they ascertain, because ultimately it is the operating management which has to ensure to the audit committee that internal financial control exists. And if audit committee has to ensure to the board that there exists internal financial control and which is operating effectively as of that date. So knowing this, as far as internal financial control is concerned, it's a good area. One should have that particular, wherever in company, they're your client, and if the system is not there, better to get it developed. Proper RCM should be there. And on the basis of RCMs, you please have the testing. Keep those working papers ready in your file, because that is the most important thing by which you can demonstrate that you have done testing and accordingly you have given the opinion. That's all from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, nicely answered the questions. Members, if any questions are there, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Yeah. Before that, announcement. Next session will not be taking the next Saturday due to Ganpati and Paryushan Samvatsari festival. We might be taking the session on 18th, and might be possibility on tax audit. We will announce you the same. Members, coming to the formal vote of thanks. But before that, as you have seen today, Yajnesh has taken this presentation very nicely. I want to add one thing, that previously when Yogesh told me that I want to take the session, then I was after him that when you're going to take, but he was little bit hesitated. I was thinking that I will not able to take the session, so please keep it. So actually we have taken the idea that we'll skip it. But Abhay Kamath has contacted us and told us why he's skipping it. Let me speak to him. And he has actually motivated him to take the session, and you've seen the result. It was really, really good. Although members were 75, but all the members were there from start to end. Yes. It was really good presentation from your side. Although it was the first time I think you presented with the Learned Forum, but it was really good. Coming to Yajnesh part first, it was really good from all your efforts. You explained in detail about internal audit, all the aspects, and with all, as well as with your observations and your experiences. The slides were also good. You have given point-wise point explanation, as well as explain the same. It was really good effort from your side, being a first attempt. It was really good. Thank you, Yajnesh, and please keep it up. And whenever need you, we'll call you. Thank you. And Abhay Kamath sir, coming to you, it was really great efforts from your side to motivate him, to guide him, and to be present from start to end for all his explanation toward the session. Really good, sir. I think we might have called you for the first time, if I know, but I think we will definitely call you once again for bank audit or for some other aspects. Really, really appreciating your efforts, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
I had been to your Ghatkopar study circle earlier also.
Yeah,
Only
okay,
thing
sorry,
is,
sir.
it was physical meeting in that dome.
Yeah, sir. Yes.
SNDT dome. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So,
yeah, due to this COVID situation,
secondly, since I'm from Mulund study circle, I think Ghatkopar study circle and Mulund study circle, CS study circle, they go hand in hand practically. It is as good as
it's like
friends going together. So that was a wonderful experience.
Yes, it is a brotherly environment with them every time. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
I appreciate Yajnesh also, specifically. Efforts are of Yajnesh. There is nothing. Only my job was to push him in the water. That's all. So ultimate swimming is done by him only. So my job was only to push him to water. That's all. And Yajnesh, I look forward to many more lectures from you on various subjects. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
The same.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have seen today that today many young members has attended the session as a participants. I request as well as I motivate them also to come ahead and take the sessions. We have many seniors like Abhay Kamath, Mehul Shah, who has taken Pratik's session. We have many seniors who are there who will come selflessly to your side to help you. So please take part. You can take any aspects, any subject what you write. We are trying this way every month. We are taking such type of sessions for the young members. So please take this opportunity and come in. Thank you. Before ending the session, as the pollution is going on, if anything has been done from our side, from any of the members of GSC as well as from any of the committee members of GSC, which the thing you might have not liked, or something has happened from from our side which has hurted you, then we are seeking forgiveness from you. Please forgive us. Michhami Dukkanam from us. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, welcome, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, closing session.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. We hope you all like the session. Thank you. We are closing session. Thank you.